Here's 100 plus interesting things and facts that you might have missed in the latest GTA 6 reveal. Let's start off with trailer 2, and then we're going to move on to the website and screenshots. So this video is going to be a long one, but really detailed. Now, if you look way off into the distance, you can see a blimp, which is a blimp that exists in real life called Fat Albert. And you could also see it in the very first trailer as well. So this is Jason's car, and this vehicle is really rusty. Look at the weathering on this vehicle. You can see the rust and the dirt around the metal and the wheels, but in the leaks in the first trailer this vehicle was a lot cleaner and a completely different color. And a little bit later on in the trailer we actually see this vehicle with slight upgrades made to it, where it's still rusty in some areas, but in other areas it's shiny. So it appears that throughout the course of the early game maybe Jason will have this as a project car that he's doing up. So this is obviously Jason and Lucia's residence in the Keys, way south of Vice City in the early chapters of the game. If you look closely, there's a basketball hoop, and judging from the Rockstar Newswire, this is definitely going to be a minigame that we can partake in. Now, this is actually the same building that we see a little bit later on in the trailer, and we know this because up here, you can see that this building is still yet to be finished. The roofing up here is not finished yet, and the building is going to get better progressively over time. You can also see a little iguana here running across the floor, which you may have missed. Now in the background there, you can just about see it. There's a raccoon dumpster diving, basically getting trash out of the bins. They call them trash pandas for a reason, guys, and this is actually going in the bins to collect food. Now look at the hair on this guy's arm. You can see it is all super realistically detailed, and it's something we also see on Jason's skin as well. Look at his paws and the way the sweat is coming down off of his skin. And on the back of his head, you can see how the back of his hair is damp from all the sweat, and his skin is heavily sunburned. Now in this scene where Jason is driving down the street, we can see that he's driving with one hand, possibly hinting that there's going to be relaxed driving styles. He also has a tattoo on his left shoulder, which appears to be a military paratrooper tattoo. And Rockstar Games have confirmed on their newswire that Jason is ex-military. In the scene where Jason is slapping this guy at the dispensary, he's actually got a baseball bat in one of his hands, and he slaps the guy with the other hand, possibly hinting that there's going to be the ability to both use melee with your fists and a weapon at the same time. When he forcefully opens the cashier till, you can see that the coins are individually animated, and from the force they slide forwards. In a later scene, we can also see where Jason is inside this store. He's carrying a pack of beer, and the liquid inside the bottles is all individually animated and reacting to the movements that he's making. Now in this scene where Jason, I presume Jason, is driving down the highway, we can see two guys in the back of this truck here. Public workmen can be seen in the side of the highway near the airport, and similarly we can see criminals doing community service as well in a later scene in the trailer, which perhaps hints that this is something that Lucia needs to do once she gets out of jail, because in the scene where she comes home to Jason, she's also wearing the same outfit that we see these community service people wearing. Lucia obviously gets let free from prison, put onto community service, and this is where they stay. In this scene where Jason is working out on the beach, a little fun fact, he's basically benching 120 kilograms right here. But did you notice that the weight plates are rusted and weathered from the various conditions they've been exposed to? And if you pay close attention to him, you can see that he's wearing AirPods. So perhaps listening to radio stations, podcasts, or talk radio is going to be available while exploring outside of a vehicle while on foot. We know it's Jason because the tattoo on his shoulder is the exact same. Now in this convenience store where Jason's walking with the beers that we mentioned a few seconds ago, we can see an NPC in the background buying lottery tickets, which could be something that we're also able to do ourselves. Jason's also wearing a vest here, or a t-shirt, that says Leonida Marine Center, supporting all marine life. We've also seen in a variety of screenshots that he likes to go fishing. It appears that this may be where Jason works, because on his t-shirt in a later scene, it says Leonida Marine Center, Sales and Service. So perhaps Jason is literally at one with nature, he's quite an animal guy, and he works at the Marine Center. In the background though, we can see a cat licking itself on top of the ATM machine. As Jason leaves the store, we can see a guy in the background sitting in the bed of his truck drinking a drink. And of course the unfortunate homeless man who looks really dirty and his face is clearly weathered. This is pretty incredible detail. But I want to point your attention towards Jason's El Camino here. The rear end of it still looks battered from the weather as we mentioned earlier, but this front section looks a lot shinier. Also notice how his wheels are a lot cleaner now compared to earlier on, which pretty much reiterates my theory that maybe we'll be doing up both Jason's place of living and his vehicle slowly over time. Now in this scene, we can see police officers interrogating some suspects. Once again, Jason is driving with one hand, reiterating that relaxed driving style. But I want to point out how one of the police officers is being rather brutal to one of the suspects. I want to point out how the police AI seem to be actually questioning and trying to gather evidence this time round, unlike in GTA 5 where they simply run, shoot and attack. It's really interesting to see, and you can see how there's crowds gathered together as the undercover police investigate. We can also see the Metro Mover there in the background, which is an iconic part of the Miami downtown. We can also see the Metro Mover in the background of this scene here from the trailer with this unknown lady. The ray tracing in these scenes with Jason and Lucia in the sunset is incredibly detailed. Also, once again, look how the liquid swashes in the glasses when they bash them together, showcasing that liquids are dynamically rendered. When we see them sitting together on this dock, we can see how there's leaves and trash floating on the water surface. Now, when we see a wider view out to the ocean, the detail here is incredible in the distance. Now, let me zoom in on this boat way off in the distance, and you can see that you can not only see NPCs on there, but you can even see them using social media and partying aboard this luxury yacht. Jason and Lucia are looking out to sea at these luxury yachts, probably saying to themselves, that's gonna be us one day. Now here's another look inside Jason and Lucia's home, and we can see that they have a pet snake. And notice how Lucia's necklace really interacts with the way she's moving here. Jason's also is the same. Now a small little Easter egg is on the sign in the background here. You can see that there's a meal being advertised that's boasting 30,000 calories. Yeah, that's definitely not healthy for you. Now in this nightclub scene, you can actually see that every single NPC is casting their own unique shadow. Now in this scene here, we can clearly see that Jason is using his environment as a weapon, which is a first for the GTA series. In this scene, Lucia uses a grenade launcher to blow up this cop car, but notice how the shockwave sends the SUV on the right hand side flying in the air, but the much heavier SWAT truck, which is armored, doesn't actually move at all, which goes to show that maybe they're dynamically rendering and taking into account the vehicle's weight in the physics engine. Now this guy is wearing a Manatees shirt, which is most likely Rockstar's parody of the Miami Dolphins. He also seems to be showing Jason something on the cell phone, which leads me to believe that this is likely something to do with social media. In the background, we can see what I believe is a Doberman species of dog, which is the first time a Doberman has been present in the GTA series. You can see how the NPC in the background notices the beautiful sunset and decides to take a picture as well, which is incredible AI. Now the banner in this place says Seduction Saturdays, but in the first trailer it said Make It Rain Mondays. In the leaked footage, which Rockstar didn't want to get out, it also said something completely different, which means that the different clubs will have different events that take place in different days of the week. You can see on this sign it says Sinful Sundays. Now pay close attention to this guy on television. He's on an advertisement for Phil's Ammunition. Now Phil Cassidy was a character in GTA Vice City, and this guy does look very similar to him, but of course it's not gonna be Phil, but it could be Phil Cassidy Jr. In my opinion, this could easily be Phil Cassidy's son. We can see a couple of tools in the background there that Jason's likely using to do up his house, as we mentioned earlier. But pay close attention, there seems to be something that looks very similar to a PlayStation 5 on the floor, and a controller for it on the table. So perhaps playing video games is again coming to GTA 6. But look at the bottles on the table. The one on the left is open and is less fresh. It has some white froth on the surface of the liquid. Look on the right, we have a sealed bottle with condensation and bubbles still fizzing. A friend of mine pointed out that in the background of Ammu-Nation, you can see a variety of different weapons that we've never seen before. And there's even a double-barrel shotgun, or shall we say several variants of it. Here we can see a Buzzard attack helicopter, but it's also got a mounted machine gun on the side. It's being piloted by Jason, and they're in pursuit of an airboat. There seems to be a boar or something down there as well that gets spooked by the noise. Now here we can see a police helicopter that says Vice Dale, which is definitely the GTA equivalent of Miami-Dade. We can see Lucia firing a machine gun at it and Jason driving the boat. Now, I think this may be the same heist as what we see on the official game website, because Rockstar Games have updated the website, and we're going to be making another video based on all of that entirely. But it also has some video clips, and as you can see, there's this clip here from a heist that looks like it's taken straight out of the movie Heat or something. First of all, look at this guy's trigger finger discipline, where he takes his finger off the trigger and only places it on when he's ready to fire. But second of all, take a look at the outfit that Lucia is wearing. She also has the mask that makes it look like maybe all of these scenes are intertwined. First of all, the one where they're doing this heist here with the skull mask bandana. Second of all, this shootout outside whatever it is, a bank or whatever, because she's wearing the same clothing here if this is the same person. And then third of all, in the back of the vehicle where she's using the grenade launcher. So I think all of these scenes may be tied together. And so Rockstar Games are really good at doing this in trailers. It might seem like they've just showed us a ton of stuff that takes place in the game, but I can prove to you that that's not the case, because Lucia here is wearing a shiny gold dress. But did you notice that this is the exact same dress that she was wearing in the very first trailer that got released to us well over a year ago? So this footage is pretty much from the same mission. So already we're finding examples of how Rockstar Games are really not showing us a lot, but also showing us tons at the same time. Now if you've made it this far, we're about to move on to the website and screenshots and all the information they provided us on the website, which arguably is even better than the trailer. So I am really excited to dig into this. You can tell from my voice, but if you've made it this far into the video, you're obviously enjoying, and it would really mean a lot to me if you could subscribe. So if you could do that for me while I've put so much effort into this video, then that would mean a lot to me. So let's get going. Now, first of all, this screenshot obviously confirms to us that we're going to be able to go fishing, and fishing is going to be a side activity, which I'm really excited about. But something I want to point out is that the character here, he looks very similar to the main character of The Place Beyond the Pines, which was a rumored movie that GTA 6 is based off of, and the main protagonist is played by none other than Ryan Gosling. Now tell me that Jason doesn't look pretty much like a spitting image of him right here. Next up, we have a variety of screenshots I want to show you which demonstrate that his watch in game, Jason's watch, actually accurately tells the time. Again, take a look at Jason's watch and you can clearly see what I was talking about. But I also want to say, look at the hairs on his arm and the details there. Even down to tiny details like the smoke from the cigarette in the ashtray is really impressive. Lucia in this screenshot is wearing AirPods, and you can see the details in the particles coming off of the punching bag. Seriously well done. Now this screenshot is particularly interesting, and I want to point your attention towards a few things here. First of all, the reflections on her glasses, or sunglasses shall we say, is seriously impressive. She's got iFruit AirPods in, again confirming that we're probably going to be able to listen to music on foot. But look at the detail and the particles in the towel. That is seriously impressive. But what I want to point your attention towards is the phone screen, because somebody pointed out that if you adjust the brightness, you can get an idea of what the UI user interface is going to look like on the in-game mobile phones, and you can see a variety of apps, one of which looks very similar to the current Instagram icon, which just goes to show that that's probably going to be an app that's in the game. Now here is something extremely interesting. There is a number plate here which appears to be the new version of what Rockstar are going to be calling Georgia, which is located just north of Florida, or Leonida as it is in the GTA universe. So the debate at the moment is, does this prove that we're going to be able to visit Georgia and leave the state of Leonida, or is this just basically, you know, just for lore purposes, showing us that vehicles can come from different states? We don't know at the moment, but it's exciting to think of the idea that that could be a thing, definitely. But what I want to pay attention to in a variety of these screenshots now is some of the weapons that we can see across some of these screenshots. You've got a variety of different rifles, sniper rifles, pistols ranging from revolvers to Colts, and it looks like the variety is gonna be next level with this game. Now, this one's extremely interesting to me because this is actually our first glimpse of what we could expect from some of the mini games in GTA 6. It looks as though we're gonna be able to play mini golf. Additionally though, this seems to be the Garland theme park, because we can also see this on the background of a television in another screenshot, which basically shows that this is going to be a theme park that we can visit in game. As you can see in this screenshot, we also get a glimpse of Pool being another mini game that we can play. Also, this iguana for some reason has a crown on it. This is by far got to be the most realistic looking screenshot I have ever seen in a video game ever. The skin tone, the hairs on the arm, the material on the vehicle, I'm finding it hard to believe that this is a screenshot taken in game. Now, we see this character a lot throughout the trailer and in a lot of these screenshots, and his name is Brian. Brian is a long-time original drug trafficker, and that's why in a variety of these screenshots he can be seen holding narcotics. Now, this screenshot is an extremely good example of how the world is going to feel alive. First of all, I want to pay attention to the draw distance. We could zoom right in on the background here of this city skyline, and you can see vehicles about 1 kilometer away still being loaded in the render distance. Not only that, but the ray tracing on the water surface is absolutely phenomenal. Not to mention as well that we've got people playing basketball on the courts over here, which is something that we're probably going to be able to do. But additionally, as another thing to point out, there's a lot going on in this screenshot, and down here we've got police officers arresting some guys that seem to have done something. Either they've escaped or they've failed to stop or comply. But it's crazy to see that all of this will be going on in the world all around you. Speaking of sports, you can see these NPCs throwing a rugby ball or football to each other on the beach, and you can get an idea of the diversity of pedestrians you can have. First of all, you've got a woman here without a bra laying on the floor. You've got a guy metal detecting with a serious sunburn who's staring at her. This old man is also doing the same, and look at his sunburn. His wife is not too happy about it. Now, interestingly, in this screenshot here, this is the stadium, which has the Vice City Narcos written on it, which is, of course, a funny name for the Vice City basketball team. Pretty cool. Also, zooming in, you can see all the detail on the streetlights and what's going on there. Another thing in the distance you can also notice is this giant cruise ship, which will be really exciting to explore in game, and you might have missed that. In this screenshot here, we can actually get a glimpse, our first pretty good glimpse of another dog species since trailer 1. This appears to be a Rottweiler sitting down with our character over here, and the puddles on the floor with the reflections look absolutely stunning, I must say. That being said though, this vehicle registration plate, again, like the motorbike we showed earlier, says Gloriana, which is probably Georgia. I also like how on this vehicle in the distance here, you can see this guy with his arm hanging out, just cruising along. You can also see these NPCs popping wheelies and doing some cool stuff. So here we are. We get our first glimpse now of the draw distance that we can see of downtown from afar. And I must say it's seriously impressive. This is of course the Leonida Keys. A little bit further down, I believe, is where Jason would be living. Now just zooming in, look at the water along the coastline. It looks absolutely phenomenal. It looks like this may be taken from the very first trailer because it's the very same seaplane that we saw. However, like I say, if you just zoom in the background, you can really see how much draw distance this game's going to be offering. You just know this is going to be a vehicle you can drive in game, a mobility scooter. It also looks like that might be an Alsatian walking alongside this guy on the bicycle. We have some pedestrians taking a selfie and some young kids that have climbed onto the ornament over in the background over there, or the statue. You've then got this quirky little beach shop that seems to be selling pretty rubbish ornaments, but it just adds to the character of the world. Now, I'm absolutely blown away by this screenshot, not only because it doesn't look like something that should belong in a video game because it looks too good, but I'm kind of scared at how realistic this guy's face looks when you zoom in on it. Are we sure this isn't just a photograph? Are we absolutely certain that this game is actually going to come out? The more I look at some of these screenshots, the more scared I am that this is actually possible, and that there's a game with graphics this good that we could all be playing in a year or less. Anyway, nonetheless, this is our first glimpse that Rockstar, just like GTA 5, are going to be adding a thriving underwater world that we can explore as well, which I'm super excited about. In this screenshot, we really get an idea of how they're trying to make the NPCs all seem and feel like real people. I mean, for example, you've got this guy just lounging on this giant flamingo. You've got NPCs on each individual boat taking selfies, dancing, and having a good time. So this is the Starlet Motel in Port Gellhorn, and this is the same location where we saw the vehicle on fire earlier on, where Jason was attacking that guy, throwing him up against the vehicle. As you can see, there's a girl here using a flash. Take a picture of this small, and we have a pretty unique vehicle there. Here with the leaks of GTA 6, you see this pool in the background. In the leaked footage, we saw this pool along with a bunch of rednecks or whatever complaining Norris. So if you remember that, they really do recognize that area over there. Just take a look at the ray tracing and the lighting coming off of the area at night. I actually cannot. It looks incredible. How they've managed to pull this off, really impressive. So it looks like this is a biker gang we can expect to see. Final chapter, Ambrosia, founded in 1982 by the looks. So this is in the Ambrosia County. It's a heavy concern area. As you can see, it says Erin Hershey, maybe, for mayor. All the signs are red, which basically means whatever. Looks like this is a cheek joke, because up here on the billboard you've got allies of diversity and treats, which obviously doesn't mix well with these hardcore. But Ambrosia is quite a wide area. I mean, it's a beautiful of what we can expect from Ambrosia. See a watercraft down there, so it's pretty obvious that Ambrosia just on the borderline of the Grass Rivers and the GTA 6. And you can see that Ambrosia is a heavy industrial. And judging by the water towers we can see around, I believe this is probably in proximity to the premiere was being held in Trailer 1. Screenshot of this revolver. Well, the revolver is confirmed as a weapon coming to the game, but what I'm seriously impressed with is the attention on her fingernail paint, which has been slightly chipped. Serious detail that was so unnecessary. Rockstar had to add that. Look at the interior here. Looks like this is a car wash you can get where you get your vehicle washed by women or whatever. But I must say the steering wheel look detailed, and there seems to be a board which does have a music note within a blue circle, which perhaps that there is apps music, but that of course could be cosmetic detail. Confirmed necessarily. Now in this Rivers, this is probably one of my favorite screens come out of this reveal, because this epic scene, you've got this camouflage for ripping it through the Grass Rivers there, police in hot pursuit with a helicopter and an airboat as. But I think the most exciting area is actually going to be Mount Caliga National. It's going to be a giant national park area, which is going to be really cool. What we have got, so it's all outdoor activities or hunting in the majority. The thing I really like about these screenshots right here, which shows that this actually has somewhat that you can explore. And you can see that there's a Florida panther there on the right hand side. So it's really good to see that not all of the world is going to be completely flat, and there are in the game that are exciting. Now it looks like here this biker is cutting in front of this car, causing the car to swerve. Quite interesting. And one of the other is it looks like we're going to be able to do in this national go canoeing, or at least here that's, and I don't see why Rockstar won't let us do this as well. Pretty much confirmed that we're definitely going to be able to do